So this is the types and shadows that I had found. But in Matthew 5:13, it's about salt and light, is that chapter. Ye are the salt of the earth. The salt lost its taste. Shall the saltiness be restored? No longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. So, there's a stay salty thing, with the world, but the salt with God is it's preserving. Because if you eat something too salty, you can't even eat it. And the types and shadows I found is Matthew 7:6 is, give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Which also reminded me in Acts 19:13 through 16, a vagabond, Jews, exorcist. Jesus I know, Paul I know, but who are you? That's what they said to them. The evil spirit leaped on them and overcame them and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of the house naked and wounded. Times and seasons. Salt in Strong's 217, halas or hala, prudence, wisdom, and sound judgment. A symbol of lasting concord, protects and preserves it unchanged, signifies permanence, loyalty, and incorruptibility. There's very few people that can be bought. There's a lot of people that want to sell their soul for money. But there are those, they can't be bought. And if you think about, preserved and unchanged, well, you have the donkeys, but those are the ones who are stubborn and refuse to change. You have to think of, the courage of a lion, how the lion knows, and the lion is steadfast in strength. And the lion doesn't always roar until it is time. From the horns of the unicorn. So if you leave the faith and dependence on God, you will be overran by those who destroy and devour. It's the loss of a covenant blessing. The church serves society by moral distinctiveness that restrains corruption. Revelation 21:8 portrays the second death as final corruption. Conversely, believers remain preserved blameless. 1 Thessalonians 5:23. That's where we're at, y'all. God's covenant of salt will stand incorruptible in the new creation. 8 occurrences in the New Testament, and it exhorts believers to live distinct, peaceably, and truth-preserving lives so that the world may taste and see the goodness of the Lord. God comes to save, not to destroy. And there's some that speak smoothly, as butter melting on hot bread, or which the bread kind of reminds me of the yeast puffing up and then, the bread melting on it because they're so lifted up so high and hot and haughty, then the fall. So purification of the believers through trials of fire, that season of life with holiness, which is the salt. So right now, you'll go through the fire because you're going to drink from the cup of Jesus. If he chooses you to drink from that cup. Some are drinking from it and don't even realize it, but it's the purification to rise the dross so the dross can be removed. And just like the refiner's fire, you stay in the middle of the fire being watched over meticulously so that the precious metal's not destroyed. It comes out reflecting his image. Everybody's about an image. And a lot of people have a fake image. They're wearing a mask. And this is where what do they say? The rubber meets the road. That's where we're at, y'all. And different people are going through different types of trials and tribulations to come out refined. There's one body, and each piece has its specific work. It's not about, guys, this is greater than just any one of us. God's setting up his kingdom. One kingdom falls, another will rise. some see it. Some are oblivious to it yet until they realize it was all true and God's not a liar, and he promised and will fulfill every single last word. And be careful what you sow, because what you sow, you also reap. You take a bed out from under somebody, let me tell you, you're going to be found without a bed. God will put you in a bed. It ain't going to be the bed you want. It's going to be the righteous judgment. Oh, wow. The sacrificial law, where every offering was salted before placed on the fire. So we learn and grow by the testing of what is learned until the lesson is learned. There's a blessing in the lesson. That's your sanctification. You'll learn things, and after, you learn what you need to know, you'll go through that fire to test what you just learned. And that sanctifies you. The thing is you're going to keep going through the same lesson until you figure it out. And then the burden can be eased. It's to show men and women, just because we go through fire, we're not going to lose that oil of joy, because we know God's watching us meticulously, and we know his hand has every divine control. He's sovereign over good and evil. The evil is brought up for judgment. Come on, y'all. You've seen things posted about, the judgment and stuff, and you see the betrayer that promised one thing and does another. It's a vicious cycle, but that kingdom is done. So Mark 4:49, a call for disciples who accept refining fire, retain spiritual savor, and live as enduring testimonies to the grace and truth of Jesus Christ. And discernment is knowing when to speak and when not to, and what to speak. Because there's two ways to say the same thing. Are you sowing to create problems, or are you sowing to help? Because whichever one you do, it sounds the same, but whichever intent you have on your heart of what you're meaning is what you're going to reap. And that was the end of that one. So we're all going through some kind of fire. And there it is to prove who we are. Because without the fire, you can't find what's false and what's real. It's where the rubber meets the road.